Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are gonna be finishing off the narration and character voicing for the Dorothy's Vision side story in Arknights. And considering this is the final part, the usual stuff will be part of it, but before I go into that, let me quickly say, first and foremost, that thank you very much for the comments once again on the previous part, and the likes as well, obviously. Thank you, and please keep on coming. If you like the content, hit those buttons, because yes, those definitely help promote the video more in the algorithm. So thank you very much. Alright, but outside of that, we will be, as per usual, in final parts for stuff like this, we'll be including the final battle stage against the big boss that we fight in there. Outside of that, when the episode ends at the end, when we're completely done with the story, I'll do the usual thing where I just go and voice my thoughts in general over how I think about the story, the plot, the characters, and so on and so forth. That part is obviously not on any script. I will just speak freely from the top of my mind what I think about them and the story in general, so stick around at the end. Outside of that, once we're done, before I talk about that part, I'll quickly go over what's gonna be next on the channel over the next couple of days, and yeah, outside of that, we have a story to finish. But before we do so, quick recap of the previous part, and for those of you who want to skip the recap section, just hit the timestamp in the comment section below and you will be right at the stages and right at the beginning of the story. But let's do this thingy very quickly. So, on the previous part, well, we pretty much began where we ended up, and that was in the bar where Holheak has intercepted Saria, the doctor, and Mechanist, who are dealing with one old colleague of Saria's, and she is apparently there to, well, she isn't there to kill him herself, but she is letting him kill himself by pretty much using, potentially, they don't really name it, but pretty much a cyanide capsule or something that he was hiding in a fake tooth. But Saria does prevent it from actually killing him, administering some quick meds on the scene, and then a chase ensues, essentially. But in the meantime, while they are chasing after Holheak and being then back pursued by power armors, back at the test site, Silence and Elena are digging into the experimental data and finding the stuff that they are uncovering starting to be very, very suspicious very slowly. Flipping back into the city, Saria is about to destroy the final one of the power armors that is being sent upon them, but gets stopped in the last second by none other than the doctor, yelling out to her very quickly, and with all good reason, because while she cannot stop her attack fully, she grazes the armor, essentially destroying it, and revealing under the armor a Multis who was just coming back to consciousness herself, but was not in any kind of control of what she was doing. So, good reaction there, you could say. Otherwise, she would have been pretty dead. She would have been pretty dead, considering Saria's strength. Oof. But after that, we switch back to the test site, and we see, we finally make it inside of Dorothy's lab. And the moment we get inside, the pioneers immediately do the thing that they were trying to do for a long time, as they were trying to get into the lab themselves, and that is that they are pretty much trying to kill Dorothy, because they see Dorothy as the big bad who is killing their friends, but they do not know the full truth yet. So, oh, right. But yeah, while they are prepared and about to attack Dorothy, those little creatures appear again, and they are apparently somewhat sentient, and they are definitely swinging in to save Dorothy's ass. But Silence finally realizes the purpose of the experiments and steps up to put a stop to Dorothy. And through telepsis, they figure out where the test subjects are, and that they are sleeping peacefully, essentially, which was a very interesting thing, and the very reason why I wanted to include Telepsis's operator record and her module story to shine a bit better of a light on her device number 9 that is implanted into her brain, because she was essentially the chip was essentially tapping into the frequency or whatever was going on there, the wavelength that the casters that are unconscious using to control the little machines that are continuously flying about. But yeah, we after that see what is happening. We see a giant room filled with unconscious people lying all on tables connected to a so-called hub device, big essentially machine that is essentially keeping them asleep while using their brains essentially to work the little machines that are flying about. Meanwhile, Saria is pretty much guessing at Ferdinand's ambitions and what he is planning to do. And at the same time, the group is trying to synchronize back with Telepsis, but they are continuously failing. Something is preventing a connection to be established. Even though they keep saying that they should be able to connect to device number 9, but whatever is causing the connection to not be able to be connected must be something pretty powerful, essentially. Which begs the question, how strong is the chip in the brain? But the situation back in the lab is starting to resolve itself. The pioneers are starting to, on Silence's intervention, starting to step down and not trying to kill Dorothy anymore. While Dorothy is agreeing to halt her experiments, essentially. But Ferdinand appears on the scene from a control room, pretty much sending in the defense personnel, and they start administering some form of injections to everybody on site. But Elena sees what is going on because she recognizes the solution that they are giving them, because she developed that stuff. But it is already too late. And then we also had a small little extra scene from the extra stage that is unlockable, where we see in sometime prior to the beginning of the main sometime prior to the beginning of this side story, Ferdinand bringing some form of recovered data from Loken water tanks experiments to Dorothy. But Dorothy is expressing some completely different how shall we put it? Completely different interest in the video itself, which was very interesting. And then, as I said already, we finished on the full operator record and module short story for Telepsis to flesh out her background a tiny bit. But yeah, that is about it. So, shall we begin with today's story? Alright then, so the plan for today's story is very obvious. We will go from stage 7, and once we finish stage 7 completely with its before and after story, we'll make a small little detour into DVS2, which obviously unlocks after completing stage 7 and stage 6 at a certain kind of requirements. And also I would like to point out that, or rather I would like to say I wish Stultifera Navis had something like this, where it connected stuff to other stuff. It would have been way easier to track shit. Those of you who have played through Stultifera probably have an idea what I'm talking about. But anyway, pretty much gonna finish. So once again, we're gonna finish stage 7, go to S2, and I'm gonna gonna go to stage 8 and finish with ST-2. Pretty simple. So, let us begin. This is stage 7, titled Rogue Signal. Is the caster truly in control of all this in the real world? So let's begin with the before part. How long has it been since you were last here, Director Saria? Going a little spacey? That's not like you. Thinking about the test site. Do you remember Hayden 1 laboratory? Of course I do. That's where Ifrit's from, right? We even investigated that place together. I've been to several hundred similar ruins since. It's very risky to work with the military. Rhine Lab hides behind layers of contracts and conducts these dangerous experiments with other laboratories doing the dirty work. But this time, Ferdinand chose to charge into the fray himself. That tells us Rhine is one careless move away from turning into one of those ruins. If he fails, Ferdinand will end up buried under the ruins too, right? His real cause of death won't even hit the papers. Ferdinand has no way out of this anymore. He has no choice but to make sure the experiment succeeds. Are you worried about Silence and the gang? I'm only analyzing the risks. Huh, I thought you were more honest than that. Okay. She'll be fine. She's a lot stronger now than she used to be. Just look at, just to look out for Iffy. Iffy. Right. Iffy. Cute. Are you consoling me, Director Muses? That's unnecessary. I've never doubted Silence and Tlops's abilities. They will assume their own responsibilities, and so will we. I believe in our operators. My, you really have a way with words. Makes me want to jump ship and hop on over. Alright. Here's a bag. What? Here's a bag. Saria? What does he mean with a bag? Don't ask me. It's a ritual. What ritual? Josephine. What if I don't wanna? No choice. Mechanist? Well, here comes another one. Multiple power armor signals approaching. Doctor, the Liberi Merc is catching up to us. Perhaps she's been waiting nearby. Doctor, are you sure Kirsten is here? Saria is right. Ferdinand can't take this failure, but we don't have time for trial and error, do we? Ferdinand doesn't want to let anyone find control. There's only one place to hide from prying eyes. Rhine Lab headquarters. So, that's the place that checks the most boxes, huh? After I lost contact with Kirsten, I went to her home, the test sites, and all her favorite spots. Everyone who works at Rhine knows Control doesn't like to hang around the office. Every day a bunch of staff members ask where she is, but who knew she could be right there under our noses? Scan complete. Doctor, it's just as you thought. There's a large group of armed militants guarding all exits on all floors. Rhine HQ must already be under Ferdinand's control. We need to make our moves carefully, and I'm including both Mulesies and myself. Seize them. Damn it. What are you blanking for? All units, we've got a situation in the lab's entrance. It's a pioneer and a Rhine researcher. In the end, we still gotta hurt people. That's self-defense. I'll testify for you. There's an emergency exit to the left. Run that way. We'll talk after we make it out. Someone's coming. Get ready. Wait, you again? Miss Elena. I didn't hurt you, did I? I'm fine. I figured you'd strike, so I braced myself. All of you, stay right where you are. You're... Mary Banner of the Tremont City Police Department. We're taking a kidnapping and assault suspect into custody. I'd appreciate your cooperation. Suspect? Mary. You're a hard one to catch, isn't that right, team leader? Drop your weapons and put your hands up. Right hand too. Put your right hand up, please. A syringe? Hold on, what are you trying to do? This is a physical examination. There might be a hazardous material leakage in these laboratories. Regulations demand we execute prevention procedures on all personnel. May I take a look at the medicine you're administering? The situation is critical. Please don't get in the way. Warning. Procedure does not match existing records. What are you doing is completely against the rules. Rules? I don't need a researcher who was kicked out of Rhine to teach me about rules. What about me, then? Do I have the right to ask you to turn this syringe over? Director Franks. I am the overseer of Site 359. State your objectives immediately. Sorry, Director Franks, but Director Cooney has taken over responsibility for all your site's functions. Without his orders, you can't ask us about our operation. If I recall correctly, only control can change an experiment's overseer. What gives Ferdinand the right to overstep his bounds? I can't answer that. This should be enough. Mission complete. All units, pull out. They're gone? Affirmative. The defense section personnel are quickly evacuating the site. I thought they were here to take the pioneers away. Am I mistaken about Ferdinand? Ferdinand. Dr. Silence, all pioneers who received injections have lost consciousness. Tend to them immediately. Director Franks, do you know how to administer emergency treatment? Director Franks? Ma'am, I thought we were here to save Mr. Sonny. Don't think you can change my mind with a couple of sentimental words. You got my letter. Trying to win my sympathy only works once, Romano. I'm just glad I didn't let you get away. Otherwise, who knows what kind of surprise I'd have waiting for me. You don't trust me. Why should I? 4 years ago, you didn't want to go to the quarantine zone. I trusted you and helped you lay low. Then how did you turn around and thank me? I was out of my mind. My arypathy plus my insurance premiums drove me nuts. I had no other way. You broke into my place and forced me to give you everything worth half a dime just for your goddamn insurance premium. You thought they'd let you back into your law firm if you paid it. You know how much that scared Nana? Did you know she's been bedridden ever since? Remember how she doted on you, even more than she did for her own granddaughter? And how about this? After you got spooked and ran off, I was so worried the cops would find you. Do you know what I went through to cover it all up for you? You don't know anything. You're a cold-blooded, selfish criminal. I should never have been so soft on you. Officer, it doesn't matter what kind of bad blood you two have with each other. We need to get out of here, otherwise... He kidnapped you and you're making his case for him. Listen to me. The real problem is with Rhine Lab. This shaking... is that coming from inside? Dorothy's lab. Run! It actually happened. Such intense tremors occurring across a large area. Is it a catastrophe? No, not a catastrophe. It's the lab. center of the laboratory cluster, a fissure appears on what should have been an exceedingly sturdy building. It wasn't caused by the tremors. The building is being torn apart from its deepest parts. Something is breaking out of its shell, bit by bit, and unbelievably quickly. In just an instant, half its floors are engulfed. Above the rubble, the silver object starts bringing the entire site into its embrace. The newly born colossal object gracefully twists its geometric figure and coldly stares down at the people on the ground. Speaking of staring down at people, I want to point out, if you pay close attention to the picture when you remove this, size of the thing, obviously, size of the buildings, obviously, people silhouettes. Well, that puts stuff into quite the visual spectrum. None of this is beyond her comprehension. She understands the principles behind all this, and she has calculated all the possibilities. Yet she still forgets to breathe and blink, and she forgets all about the trembling earth beneath her feet and the roaring gusts all around. Her dream has evolved from a blueprint and a word of promise to a reality. How beautiful, but also terrifying. Get down. You were in tremendous danger. If you were just 1 inch closer, you would have been crushed by the bricks. It's too late. What is? Doctor, you failed to stop me. My experiment succeeded. Director Clooney, what's happening at the laboratories? You are frightened. Frightened? Of course not, I'm just overwhelmed with emotion at the results. I am truly happy for you and Director Franks. Your teeth are chattering. Perfect. Fearing such great unknowns is an instinct of the weak. You're right. Before your results, our enemies, the Colombians' enemies, will tremble in fear. You're talking about terrorizing our enemies. That's what the army men would. That's what the army men worry about all day and night. They give me the funding, and I give them the weapons. We scratch each other's backs, and that's where it ends. But you did remind me. It's time to move to the next phase. Wouldn't that provoke it? What about the people at the site? They're making the greatest sacrifice of all. Remember their names. As pioneers in the truest sense, their names will go down in history. Their fearlessness gave birth to this voracious beast, and we will take control of it and make it ours. It will be our hands and eyes. Just as our ancestors, the brave settlers, brought burden beasts under their control, enabling civilization to conquer the wilderness. We too will conquer this beast created by technology and expand mankind's reach into even greater unknowns. We will be the trailblazers who expand the frontiers of civilization. Sure, buddy. Are these the silver monsters? How did they grow so big? We'll need something special to do any damage. You goddamned monster! Did you see those arrows? The 3 arrows, all shot at different times, approach the silver geometric figure in a tidy row. The farther they fly, the slower they get. All the way down to an immeasurable crawl. Yet they remain suspended in the air. Enveloped by the silver light, they disappear from sight at the very same moment. So the monster's got some magic tricks. it disintegrated them. But it seems awfully quiet to me. Watch out, move! Was that an energy beam or some crossbow bolts? Where did it come from? It was so quick I couldn't catch it. Logic can't explain its movements and attack patterns. Perhaps, to that thing, moving and attacking are one and the same. Supposing this really is the final product of Dorothy's experiment, then the whole site is within its range of perception. If the idea crossed its mind, it could modify the physical properties of all objects within that range instantaneously. Or in plain Victorian, we're like modeling clay for a kid to play with. Is that right? More or less. We need to stop attacking it, officer, otherwise it'll level the whole site within minutes. Wait, you wouldn't happen to... I wouldn't happen to have a bunch of explosive-equipped drones, would I? Keep dreaming. So what about those people from Rhine Lab? Are they here to help us deal with the experiment? Of course not. Do you remember what I just said? You about it leveling the whole site? It's already begun. Am I seeing things? Did that crane turn into a perfect sphere? It won't be long before it hits the quarters too. Damn it. If this site goes down, 3 months, not to mention the other cities, are still in the dark. They don't even know a monster made by some stupid freaking eggheads is about to roll them up into a ball. We need to get out of here right now. Get the word out. We need to get the word out about this. He's known for a long time it would come to this. Who's behind all this? Who'd take it this far? Dorothy Franks? No, it's not her. It's a man who's made a fool of... It's a man who's made a fool for a long time now. Someone who's really taken me for a ride. Yeah, the word me is missing there. It's a man who's made a fool out of me for a long time now. He wants to erase the pioneers and everything that's happened here at the site. And all of Rhine Lab might be on his side. The police were probably bought off too. I'd bet good money there's no media outlet ready to report this. Miss Elena, you know who we should get word out to? Rhode Island. I'll find Dr. Silence. This is the most crucial objective of our operation. But you'll be trapped here. Your lives might even be in danger. I trust the doctor, and you too. I know we can do this. You trust me? What can I do? The observation station. I have to get to observation. Need a ride? The transport over there. I borrowed it from Rhine. It so happens I need to go back and nab the real bad guy behind all this. You're going the same way, aren't you? Mind if I tag along? No matter which way we slice this. Officer, I'm a suspect in your custody. Mary doesn't answer, but she extends her hand to Sonny nonetheless. Beside her, Elena does the same. Sonny takes their hands and climbs onto the transport, its engines already running. The three of them, a police officer, a pioneer, and a researcher, speed towards the edge of the site together. The sandstorm behind them gives chase in vain, unable to stop their escape. And that obviously leads into the battle stage, but this is not the one we're going to be featuring today. But before that, before we finish off the story for the stage, we have one new enemy here, which is the Door-3 Bionic. Now I want to point out, I've noticed this when I was reading this before recording here, that the Door 3 enemy is the only one who has one special symbol right next to its name. All the other ones, all other units, well, outside the power armors, don't have anything. Even the Door 1 and 2 do not have anything. But the Bionic does. And it says here, a product of Dorothy's private experiments. To her, it is not a mere creation. It is her family, her dream. So that's our new enemy here, but we continue with the after story. Oh, Director Mulesys, coming in for work this late at night?
Yes, there's always more to do.
Your work must be exhausting. And who are these two?
Some very important business partners of ours. You don't recognize this one?
Sorry, I'm not so good with heavily shrouded faces.
This is the famous originium theory scholar, oripophy expert, and catastrophe researcher.
Oh, your reputation precedes you. It's my lucky day getting the chance to meet an amazing scientist like, you. That worked.
We have urgent business to attend to, so we'll be heading up now. If we get the chance, we should have lunch together sometime, okay?
Right, don't let me keep you. Wait, I thought you looked familiar. Aren't you that expert in the field of defensive materials?
Parvis.
The Rhine Lab has really expanded at an astonishing pace the last couple years, hasn't it? A consequence is that our new little friends still have much to learn. Two directors here at the same time? I'd better get back to work. Please excuse me.
You aren't going to tell them I'm back?
Forgive me, but my eyes aren't what they used to be. Have I met such a lovely wooey lady before? If you've nothing else for me, I'd better get home. An old man like me needs his sleep. Right, Director Mulesys. Don't forget the black tea you owe me.
Phew. Zarya, did he really just happen to be passing by? It's 4 in the morning. Parvis normally would have gone home 9 hours ago. I knew it. He's not lining up behind either Ferdinand or Kirsten until the last minute, when he's sure how the chips will fall. He's still calculating the odds, waiting to see. I bet that even if Rhine Lab gets blasted to rubble, he'll walk out without a scratch. They've entered Rhine HQ. Recon team, prepare to intercept.
Let's slow down a little.
Ah, it's you.
I saw you fight Zarya, and I'm pretty intrigued by your equipment. Mind if I took a look?
Is this how you always greet your enemies before engaging, Rhode Island elite operator?
Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not talking as a Rhode Island elite operator here. As a mechanist, I respect all exceptional technology and its innovators. Which is why I wanted to ask how you'd feel before I took that special-looking staff of yours.
You're a funny one, Mr. Mechanist. I was only going to meet with Zarya, but you and your boss, the director, certainly gave me a bigger surprise.
You know my name?
You've looked into me too, haven't you? It's the habit of our kind to gather up as much information as we can before a fight.
Your name is in Rhine HQ's database, Miss Hole-Herc. But I don't buy that Ferdinand would hire a history scholar to hunt his co-workers down. That'd be silly, even for the impossible world of Columbian academia.
It's my side gig.
You research history for a side gig?
Wrong. I'm a historian. I'm just here to see a millennium-old prophecy come true. Likewise, I believe our future is heading in a direction that will lead us to certain hidden historical secrets. Just like you, I seek the truth. We're here. Do you know how to find your scumbag boss, researcher? He should be in the control room right now. There's a vent around the corner. If you can get inside, that's your quickest route to the control room. You'll want to hurry though. We're about to have company.
Officer, I knew you were on their side. You're weak-willed. You can't put your past with this criminal behind you.
He's not a criminal yet, punk. You probably don't have the power to convict. Not yet, anyway.
You're heading past the point of no return. But why? You're all so exceptional. Why destroy your future? Why didn't she take my advice?
This is about someone else, isn't it? I can say this to you for her again. Because we know what we're fighting for. To protect certain people. To protect certain rules from being trampled by people like that scumbag director. We don't hesitate. Ever. We aren't like you. Probing all the sides before you pick one. And even going so far as to ask the dumb question before a fight. Did you find out which way you're going? I think so. Hop to it then. What about you? I have a crossbow. You don't. Worry about yourself, not me. Thanks. Take care of yourself. Why aren't you going with her? I thought you came all this way to settle your score with him too.
I've got my own weapon.
Hmm?
It's been a long time since we fought side by side.
What are you talking about? You mean back when we used to play those games? Besides, I was the one always dragging you out to play.
Thanks for that.
I really miss those days. I mean it. The elevator up ahead will take us straight to Control's office. It's safer if we take the fire exit in the back. I know, but aren't we in a hurry? It'll be faster if we head straight there and run into less armored personnel along the way. Wait, don't go over there. Huh?
Oh shit, something past the gate.
Whoopsie, I forgot this area is monitored. Doctor, it's time for Plan B.
Intruder spotted. Here, over here. Grab the intruder. Oh wait, Director?
Hello, Reggie.
What are you doing here? No, you don't have clearance anymore. I can't let you go any further.
When facing an intruder, hesitating only gives a chance for your enemy to strike. Do you need me to teach you this all over again?
Shields up. Prepare to stun. Target the intruder. Saria.
You pass. Just barely.
Have the latest data been recorded? Yes, they have. Note the drone's positions. Do not let the test subject's actions influence first-hand data collection. Don't worry, boss.
The first-hand data you want are here, in front of you.
Elena, I'm glad you're safe.
I've worked under you for so many years now. Reading the slightest change in your expression has become part of my job. Your left eyebrow twitched ever so slightly. You were surprised.
Well, you are full of surprises. It's a relief to have you back. Those stupid new hires really need a fine researcher like you to discipline them.
You want me to be a team leader?
No, not a team leader. You see that key on the desk? Take it. You've more than proven your abilities. You don't need to be anyone's assistant anymore. Not mine and not Dorothy's. I want you to handle the next project as overseer. This key is a present I prepared for you. It's an all-new, spacious laboratory. Your laboratory. No matter what kind of experiments you want to run, both Rhine Lab and I will fully support you.
Wonderful. Have you considered letting me take over as energy director?
That is not out of the question. You don't seem particularly happy about my surprise.
That's because no matter what kind of future you had in mind for me, my answer was always going to be no.
Set your staff down.
What are you afraid of? That I'm going to betray you and ruin the moment you see your bright future manifesting right before your final victory? I might just consider doing that.
I don't understand. I've given you so much. I saw talent, diligence, and ambition in you. All three are necessary to achieve success. All three qualities that also define me.
Of course you wouldn't understand. If you actually thought so highly of me as you say, you would have told me the truth behind the experiments. You tell me how you disregard the safety of your test subjects, how you used to keep tabs on Dorothy, and how when you finally have no more use for me, you'll wipe me out along with all the evidence of your crimes. You think I'm some stupid little girl who listens to everything you say? Even with Olivia's nudging, it took me till the moment you make your move for me to finally open my eyes.
You aren't ready, Elena. I was afraid you would be shaken, and here you are.
You've never trusted me. You don't trust anyone, only yourself. So why should I trust you again? Why should I trust your promise now?
I've never given anyone more chances than I've given you. You know what? You're more like me than my own children. I've poured much blood and sweat into you. Even now, if it's what you want, I would still welcome you at my side.
This is the last thing I'll ever ask of you. Please shut up, boss. Take your present and your fake sincerity and stay away from me. Starting today, I, Eleanor Rubica, am no longer your stupid little assistant or your pawn. Ferdinand Clooney, you're fired.
Sorry if I'm laughing about that, but the first time as well reading through this line, respect. Cheesy, but respect. Director Clooney, grab her. Get the rioter. Director, are you alright? I'm fine. Elena.
Stop looking at me like you care about me at all. It disgusts me.
You say I don't understand you, but you've never truly understood me either. Perhaps I actually hesitated, worried in that brief moment just now. I wasn't worried about the ruckus you were causing. I was worried about you. I really didn't want to see things come to this.
Those words. Right back at you. What do we do? The defense guys just keep coming and coming. Ferdinand's got all the sides covered. It doesn't matter how much of a fight Saria can put up. There's no way we can take on so many at once.
We're cutting on you, Director Muses.
Me? No way, I don't know how to fight. All the running around to dodge their attacks is exhausting already. Don't you hear all my panting, Doctor?
Didn't you quite ingeniously cover for Saria just now?
You knew?
Alright, hold on. Zoom! Enhance! Get 20 centimeters in front of the screen. I would just like to point out, I'm looking at a 1440p 40p monitor. HG, please, for the love of everything holy and unholy in this world, make these bigger somehow. Increase the boxes. Let the boxes adjust themselves towards the size of the text. It shouldn't be that hard, right? Anyway, pardon. You've been blocking Saria's line of sight, intentionally or otherwise. You've been pretty calm ever since you heard me guess this is where control is. Ah. Jeez. Freaking small text.
They almost got me. Doctor, you pulled me back. You'd still do that for me? Even though you've figured out that I might have other ideas?
You're free to have other ideas. I want you to help Saria. This is for the safety... sorry. This... again, all of these pretty much apply to anything, but just for the sake of this, I'm gonna go with the first one. This is for the benefit of both Rhode Island and Rhine Lab.
This is the second time you've saved me now, Doctor. Alright. Let's call this my way of repaying the favor then. I'll stand with you guys at least this once and help Saria get where she wants to go. You hear me, water molecules? Step up and give these nice people a little kissy and wash away all the dust under our feet.
Give them a little kissy.
The elf wavered. What a poor soul. He's always looking for some kind of promise of the future. Who would willingly admit she and her race belong only to the past?
Now, I would like to just pause here as well for a second and say, this is a very interesting sentence to say. Who would willingly admit she and her race belong only to the past? Yeah, this... I feel like this sentence carries a lot with it. But anyway, continuing.
Can this doctor really give her what Kirsten can't?
Ma'am, Saria has broken through the blockade.
Let her meet her old friend then. I still have other work to finish. Looks like this mechanist and I will just have to catch up next time. This is if he survives the power armor.
How long has it been since I was here? 1,000... Oh, right.
1,497 days. Perhaps we were already enemies when we said our goodbyes. Will we still be friends when we meet again? You're back, Saria. Hello, Kirsten.
Alright then, but now before we continue on to stage 8 and finish off the story, we'll make a small little detour and go back to this little stage right here. So, once again, to go over, like last time, what the logs say and the requirements, let's do that first then, shall we? So, the first one, the encrypted experimental log number 3 says, experimental results are the fruit of repeated trial and error in search of an answer. Break free from dreams and deal with test subjects that cause reactions. This one, to unlock, requires to finish stage 6 with a 3-star rating, and you need to defeat at least one of the R-11 assault power armors. Log file number 4 says, even experiments that seem to be going smoothly even experiments that seem to be going smoothly can go awry. Pay close attention to rogue signals in the data. When things reach an impasse, it is better to examine all the test subjects, rather than trying to look for the problem blindly. And the log number 4 says, to get it, you need to finish stage number 7 with a 3-star rating, but you need to defeat all the power armors on the stage. But then we get obviously another bonus stage. When it comes to the bonus stage, very similar to the last one. Outside of the fact that we now, together with a Dorothy already deployed and a Silence deployed, we also get a Saria. The rest is pretty much fill in the blanks. You cannot use these units obviously since they are deployed if you have them yourself. and the rest is just smack the hell out of these more powerful versions of enemies. But we will go now straight into the scene. And just to immediately tell you all, this scene is the one that plays out right after Mary took the Rhine Lab vehicle and left, and this dude right here was contacting someone. It's me. You were right. The cop chose to help the pioneers, and Eleanor Urbica turned on Director Clooney. A sigh leaks out of the communicator. What a shame. Ferdinand has lost. Why do you say that? Sure, I couldn't stop them, but there aren't too many. I just happened to see your old boss returning to Rhine Lab headquarters. Director Saria? Settle down. You've taken quite a beating, yes? From whom? The cop? I believe you said she's like Saria in some ways. There's nobody quite like her. I just don't understand. Why would she do that? All the hard work she puts in. Rhine Lab meant more to her than health or fame. I wanted to follow in her footsteps and defend Rhine. Why would she betray us? Did she? Or did we let her down? What do you... the follies of youth. The young seek out those they think are of like mind, but true understanding only comes with time. They may argue incessantly now, but there was a time when they treated each other with sincerity, more or less. Director Parvis, do I hear music? Have you not heard this tune before? Oh, that's right, you joined after Rhine Lab's first New Year's party. We didn't have our own building back then. Kirsten rented half the floor of an office building next to the Tremounts Institute of Technology and shared an old apartment with Saria nearby. Ferdinand talked about bringing in funding for us, but once he left his old job, his former associates stopped answering his mail. I was still at my old lab, and only went back to Tremounts a couple of times per month. On New Year's Eve, I got a message from Ulysses ordering me to attend the party. It snowed heavy that night, and the roads back from Max DC were packed. I didn't want to go to all of that effort, but Ulysses... Oh, pardon. I had my finger over the space bar. Sorry. It snowed heavily that night and the roads back from Max DC were packed. I didn't want to go to all that effort, but Ulysses didn't give me a choice. She said she would soak my pillow in icy water if I didn't get back on time. I stepped into the office just before the clock struck 12. Then I heard the song. It was a dreadful song. As a Lithuanian, I have never understood to this day how Ulysses, an authority on Originium arts, could have such vulgar taste in music. But the others didn't seem bothered. Ferdinand asked Saria to dance with him, and she said yes. Could you believe it? As for Kirsten, she watched from the sides. That night she spent more time looking at the people in the room than outside the window. Those days, I can hardly remember them now. How did that song go? I suppose I really am getting old. Director Parvis? Are you asleep? There is no response from the communicator. The tune keeps playing, looping, over and over again. He does not know if the old Cabernet is still sitting by the communicator. All he knows is that when he returns to Rhine Lab headquarters at dawn, he will see Parvis standing at his usual spot, a teacup in his hands, watching young faces come and go below with a smile on his face. And that is what happened in the meantime, essentially. Alright, but now we go on to stage 8, titled Heart Connection. In the test site surrounded by barren lands, the two take a surprising first step. So let's begin. And we begin with a flashback.
They agreed to throw money our way, Saria. Your speech was excellent. All those investors were moved by the future that you painted. The future, of course. I described some byproducts they would be interested in with the kind of language that they speak. It was only one short night, but it was far more exhausting than spending a dozen days in the lab. It's something we need to power through, for the time being. Once our funding is settled, you can move into the laboratories whenever you want. You know me well. That's the only reason that I'm bearing with all this. Right, that academic named Ferdinand Clooney is very interested in your proposal too. He'll build the most fantastic laboratory in all of Terra at the Rhine Lab. That's what he said. I welcome him then. I looked into his background. He feels more like a businessman than an academic to me. He might not understand you. No, Saria. I never needed anyone to understand me. Actually, I'd say I've already got more than I could ask for having met you, someone so like-minded. Right now, Rhine needs to amass more capable personnel and projects. We have to, if we're going to reach our ultimate goal. Your control. It's your call. Some of Ferdinand's methods aren't exactly above board. A decent amount of his projects even have some under-the-table dealings with other big corporations or other government. I'll have a nice chat with him about the rules of our... of the hour? Again, weird typo in sentences. I'll have a nice chat with him about the rules of our I'm doing it again, whatever. Of our corporation going forward. You'll help me take care of this, right? I'm the Director of Defense, that's my job. But it will be very risky for you and Rhine Lab. Wait, I just came up with a few new ideas that might even solve some flaws in that theory of mine. Right, what were you going to say just now? Never mind. Thanks for that, Saria. It's because you're always here for me that I can focus on my job without worry.
And now back to the present.
You never needed anyone to come and save you. But you came nonetheless. That face again. You're angry. All those years out there have made you a more emotional person. I thought you'd better understand my decision after you took a good look at the reality of the lands outside. Answer me. Did you authorize the experiment at Site 359? No. I'll never lie to you. I'm sure you know that better than anyone. But you also don't care what's going on over there. You turned a blind eye to what Ferdinand is doing. Just like you turned a blind eye to Parvis all those years ago. Which experiment are you talking about? You don't remember. You never remember any little thing that isn't related to your own research. There is only so much the human brain can process. I have more worthwhile work for mine to focus on. Ferdinand's little tricks bought me some time to relax, and it's thanks to him that I can concentrate even better and think. My experiments have seen some major breakthroughs in the last few days, Why don't I tell you about them? Why you... It's not like you're not interested. You're just worried about all those insignificant people and things. They were never insignificant. You'll never escape the wrath of those people and things, Kirsten. After all, both you and I, and Rhine Lab too, we're all grounded in this land. We've put down roots. I'm sorry, Doctor.
Why are you apologizing all of a sudden?
Don't worry, we're still on the same side. I won't do anything to you, at least not right now. It's hard to say. Kirsten might not necessarily be on Saria's side.
I heard they had a falling out.
A falling out, huh? They had a huge fight in the control office and blew a huge hole in the roof of the Rhine building. Does that count? Even then, Saria walked out of the office herself, and Control was completely unscathed too. If the two of them actually played serious, things would have ended so anticlimactically. It's just Kirsten doesn't care what kinds of experiments Ferdinand runs. I was eager to make sure she's okay. That's why I lured you guys here, but I never knew Kirsten would interfere with what's going on at the site.
Oh boy, text for ants again. That's why it was so important for Ptilopsis to see the truth behind the site herself. Control needs to know we saw everything.
You're not going to stop at telling Kirsten the situation over there? The important thing is that Rhode Island has caught wind of this.
If Miss Wright doesn't want this information, then there are lots of people that do. Alright, for the next couple of selections, it doesn't matter what I select, every single thing pretty much counts. Like Beach Brella and all the other companies competing with Rhine. Like the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Arts Units on Originium. Like the Mylander Foundation. Information is the most valuable bargaining chip there is. Having information is the best way to keep yourself safe. As long as Miss Wright wants to keep Rhine Lab alive. She has to intervene at the site.
You've been planning to force her hand since before you got here. Doctor, she might just remember you for this.
Good. We really should get to know each other to improve our cooperation.
You're confident. No, you have real faith in your operators at the site. That's wonderful.
I have one last question, Director Muses. Are you bothered by those experiments?
Doctor, at the end of the day, I'm the director of Rhine Lab's ecological section. Not a lot of people ask me questions like that to my face. How should I answer this? Wouldn't you agree that if I didn't keep a secret or two, my charm would take a hit?
Sure. Doctor, I still haven't received Ptilopsis' synchronized message. Sorry, I don't have the time to fill you in on the details. I still have 10, maybe 11 hollows to take care of. Right, one more thing. Holoheak got away. She might head to the site. She seemed like she had her own objective. Right, I agree with you. She's more dangerous than we expected. How am I doing? My robotic arm is overheating a little, that's all. I won't let myself get hurt before things get real hairy. Elena, you're staying here with me. You've contributed a lot to the experiment, and I am proud of your results. You've earned the right to stand by my side and witness the glory it brings us.
You turned the whole site into a petri dish. You put all those pioneers in danger just to create that giant monster. What could it bring if not disaster?
The way I see it, Several miles out, the silver geometric body remains steadily suspended above the site. The body seems as if it has started a storm. However, aside from the chaotic gales, there are also countless scraps blowing around it. Some of the scraps were originally trees, while others were once parts of buildings and machines, but all of them have taken similar shapes, hovering around the body in the center. The geometric body could appear at any moment on the outskirts of other Colombian cities. It could also suddenly descend upon Londinium or Central Cavalierki. It has redefined what people imagine when they think of Originium arts. It has redefined the known rules of physics, and it will soon redefine the already changing tides. A new era. What I see is a new era. Its arrival carries with it all sorts of possibilities, chances at things we may never have thought possible. It also implies a change in the standings of factions old and new. I'm taking these risks not for myself. It doesn't necessarily have to be Colombia that enters this new era. It doesn't have to be Rhine either. But when the time comes, our money and connections will both leave us behind. The city of steel we have forged will be torn apart at the hands of other nations, just as Lingones? I'm not sure how you pronounce this one. So, Lingones became fodder for a new hegemon. The laboratories of which we're so proud will be dismantled and sold for scrap on the second-hand market, while Rhine science will be forgotten and slowly rust away in an underground warehouse. When the time comes, will we lose any chance we ever had to drive change? Our ideals will shatter, and we will be left to live out the rest of our meaningless days, staring at the backs of those who have gone ahead. When the epoch decides who to leave behind the dust, it doesn't think back on past glory, much less hold out for future potential. All we can ever seize is the present.
Searching for signal. Connection failed. Still no comms.
Doctor, we've been surrounded. The living quarters probably won't last long. Soon this building will end up leveled like the others at the site.
The silver construct is controlled by the subconsciousness of the hub's test subjects. If we forcibly remove the treatment bands the pioneers are wearing... Negative. Removal of the treatment bands carries as much risk as the removal of device number 9. What if we interfere with their neural activities externally? No, that's too risky too. It's likely to cause brain damage. Even without the silver constructs, I have no idea how to go about waking them up. Those who are connected to the system might never wake up again. It's my fault. Ferdinand and I were the ones who put them in this danger. I need to save them. I must.
In 30 seconds we'll face the 10th wave of attacks. No, the frequency is getting faster.
This can't continue. No. Only I can stop it.
Tiny grains of sand cloud the air, like an entire house shrouded within a fortress formed of loose sand. There are countless silver substances laying outside of it. They seem curious about this fortress, not understanding why they cannot dissolve the seemingly fragile barrier.
You didn't stop it. You're just using your Originium arts to offset its corrosion. And your arts unit will fail soon. Not yet. Not so fast. What have you done to yourself? Just a small experiment. You implanted one in yourself. Arts unit. Before I let anyone else into the lab, I need to ensure of the safety of the requisite steps. They're switching up their attack patterns. It's part of us. It's curious, and it's a good learner.
A barrage of impact noises can be heard from the outside, as though a storm of silver rain is raging. The rain keeps opening up holes in the sand wall, which are in turn patched by more sand.
We need to find some other way to buy time.
Doctor, let me try. I'll go outside and use my arts to lure some.
Gray, that's too risky.
Doctor, I told Mr. Sonny something when we were chatting earlier. These words have stayed with me for all these years. If I don't take a step forward, how will I ever know if my path lies out there? Truth be told, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I might even mess up the moment I step outside. I can't help but doubt myself. But what if it works? All my mentors have taught me that whenever I start doubting myself, I should just remember I've succeeded before. He takes a deep breath, lifts his head up, and looks at the darkness in front of him. The silver geometric body has what appears to be eyes, but he knows what it is that he's looking at. It's not a new kind of intelligent being, nor is it some kind of mysterious monster. That is the fruit of human technology. It can be used, analyzed, and no doubt, defeated. You aren't anything to be afraid of. Fear always stems from the unknown. And you were created with arts. You're a byproduct born in the pioneers' minds. Humanity triumphed over the darkness of night. How could we lose to our own creations? A ray of light emits from his hand and bolts towards the dark shadow floating above their heads. As expected, a not insignificant amount of silver liquid exits out of the pioneer's quarters and entangles itself with the dark night as it tears madly toward the light he released. That moment, the light is shredded into pieces, leaving only a few strands progressing deeper into the darkness. But more and more lights then rise, one after another.
Gray's a brave man.
Dorothy, for calling him a man while everybody else from your lab started calling him a boy, you get 1 billion brownie points.
He's just like Sonny and the pioneers. He has the courage to face his challenges head on. Its attacks have gotten stronger again. All my light can do is distract it. It still sees us as its target. Your nose is bleeding. Even if you have no infected organs, your body's blood vessels won't be able to withstand releasing this much energy. It won't take long for you to hemorrhage to death. I must protect him, and I'm willing to... You're willing to give your life. That's not an excuse you're using to win over the pioneers. You're really going to do it. Dr. Silence, wouldn't you make the same choice to protect your family? I made the wrong decision once, and I won't make the same mistake again. You mean your mother? All these years I've wondered over and over. How did they feel before they were swallowed whole by the sandstorm? Did they wait, despairing in a cramped space until the moment of death arrived? Like these pioneers? What if I didn't accept that invitation? Would I have stayed with my mother until the very end? If she had the qualification to enter the city with me, would that have spared her from the storm? My research has solved many difficult problems that were unsolvable, but I still haven't found an answer to this one. Why was I the only one spared? Dr. Silence, if that is really the assemblage of the test subject's consciousness, I love it, just as I love my family. But why? Why can't I hear it speak to me?
A deep fissure appears in the sand wall. Dorothy stumbles forward, but a pair of hands catches her.
Dorothy, no matter how much work you put in, you can't change your mother's fate. That storm is in the past. It ended long ago. Is that so?
A drone fills the opening in the sand wall with its own body. Seemingly injected with life once again, the grains of sand quickly rearrange in an orderly way.
Dorothy, you want to hear your family's voices, right? You should ask those test subjects. Once the storm is over, they will tell you their answer.
His hand is getting warmer and warmer. He knows that the machinery has been pushed past its limit for so long, it is doomed to break. But he cannot give up. If he falls here, the island behind him will forever be swallowed whole by the darkness. He has to hold on, just like that one night all those years ago. He ran so far away, even though his hands had gone numb from the cold and his legs hurt from the long journey. He needs to make it to that day when he passes the torch he holds to another pair of hands. Suddenly, a warm power shrouds his hand and helps him stabilize his energy output. It is someone else's arts.
Operator Ptilopsis? You require assistance, Operator Gray. You needn't alert me to the danger here. I had already calculated the probability of our mission success before I submitted my leave request to Dr. Silence.
What's the number?
With my support as a newly added variable, the probability of our success is...
No, you don't have to tell me. I'm just used to planning everything out before the actual execution. I know it was hasty of me to run out here, but I couldn't control myself.
Calculating the results will not reveal anything in advance. Operator Gray, what determines the result is in the end will always be the impulse that drives you forward. I cannot confirm whether the fluctuations of my brainwaves right now were caused by this impulse, but it was none other than your actions that draw me here.
Operator Ptilopsis. Thanks. Even more light begins to emanate above him. This is beyond the theoretical maximum output numbers that he and Mechanist, the designer of the weapon, had yet to measure. But these are his arts. There has never been a theory capable of fully explaining Originium arts, and furthermore, this luminance comes not only from his arts unit, it comes from his heart. This luminance, in the end, pierces through the out-of-control test subject, through the darkness, the clouds, and all the unknowns above. This thought, hidden within the sparks of electricity, pulses once only. Nonetheless, Gray grasps hold of it. He can feel the possibility within.
A weak signal has been detected. Connecting.
Following an intense quake, the enormous test subject positions itself in front of the assembled onlookers. There was no foreshadowing, and it left no trails of its movement. It simply appeared in that very position.
Stand back, Ray. That's an order.
Silence grabs Gray's other hand. A drone takes to the sky, and, gathering the golden rays that began to disperse as Gray's strength starts to give, charges straight towards the silver colossus that shrouds the sky. The explosion is as loud as a thunderclap. The drone, having risen to the highest point in the sky, disintegrates into countless specks of light that flutter down.
I picked this up from Elena. Though a trick like this will only work once. This light will extinguish eventually. Message sent.
Our most crucial objective has been completed, right?
Yes. We did it.
She reaches her other hand out to hold Telopsis. The light above them slowly dissipates, revealing the enormous scale of the silver construct. Yet, it does not advance. A layer of fine dust still stubbornly stands between them.
Dorothy? You're holding a treatment band and the reagent. You're thinking of plugging yourself in. I want to hear their voices. No. I told you, I don't know how to wake them up, and I won't know how to wake you up. You might find yourself swallowed by their consciousness, and your nervous system might see irreversible damage if we destroy this construct, and perhaps... I'm a researcher. I'm willing to accept all the uncertainties. But I'm your doctor. I can't just watch you risk your own life. It'll be fine, Olivia. This way, I will get to be with my family.
The test subjects behind her are unable to speak. The silver construct before her remains silent as ever. Dorothy closes her eyes and feels the silver reagent flow into her body. The slightly cold sensation feels as if the fingertips of her family members are caressing her up and down.
Olivia, I need the answer.
Alright then, and that obviously brings us into the stage itself. So, before we do so, we shall introduce our big bad for, well, big bad quotes for this matchup. And that is our big giant construct over here that is only named Awaken. And it says here, the dreamland that Dorothy personally created. In here, no one will ever have to suffer the pain of the journey. Love and hope shall achieve that which technology cannot. So, let us go into the stage. Alright, I didn't expect you to be vocal at the beginning, but sure. But yeah. Essentially, it's not that much of a difficult of a fight when you figure out the trick. And the trick is pretty much in the movement of our big bad here. Just as you saw, when it teleports to a new spot, moments later, it explodes for pretty much map-wide damage. Essentially, every single operator you deploy gets hit, but the damage is consistent, essentially. Which means that once you deploy enough operators, the damage gets pretty much split equally amongst them, and they live. Pretty much everybody on the map turns into a tank of sorts. But yeah, the matchup itself is pretty much simple, like I said. There is the 4 power armors in the middle, which, by the way, once approached by this third new type of silver liquid enemy, will power up immediately once hit by it. Like fully powered up. Good lord, Horn's bombardment is loud. Oh, and one little thing I have discovered while doing these maps over the past couple of days is that camouflage units are your best friend in this battle. Specifically in this battle, because they literally avoid anything the boss does. But yeah, also just to say, it doesn't matter if the damage gets split between all of your units equally. If you have lower level units, meaning lower level health units, well, when they get smacked by the split damage, they still might die, so keep that in mind. Alright, and this is pretty much gonna be the entire map. Or rather, the entire battle. I would say the most difficult part about this whole map is at the beginning. To deploy enough units as fast as possible, or you don't even have to. You can literally deploy a couple of units, get some DP, and remove them. Let the boss do its big... Sorry if I stopped. This was actually perfect. I always love in these videos the gamble of, is it gonna be a story-driven unit that is gonna be here at the victory screen, or is it gonna be someone else? But this was actually perfect. Nice. But yeah, you could literally tackle the beginning of the battle with deploy unit that gives you a lot of DP. The moment the thing teleports away, just remove everything and then start deploying again, and have a larger group of units deployed. But yeah, the power armors in the middle are probably the biggest threat here. If those liquids reach them, they are annoying, because some of them are those ones with the rocket launchers that hit 4 targets at once. So if you have a cluster of units around them and they are not dealt with, ooh, those things are annoying. But anyway, enough talking. Let us begin with the after story for the stage. A long, long time ago, there was a little girl who lived happily in a beautiful town. One day, a storm brought with it countless black rocks and destroyed her home. In search of a way to restore her homeland's beauty, she found the courage to set out on a journey. The legends told of a most amazing caster who lived up in a faraway, marvelous land, and his originium arts could make all that is impossible, possible. During her journeys, she met a foul beast that couldn't fly, and a tin man who was nothing but an empty shell. The foul beast wanted to learn to fly, and the tin man wanted to find its body. They all had different dreams. To find this marvelous to find this marvelous land, they walked for a long, long time. So long that the foul beast shed all its feathers and the tin man began to rust. "I will give you my wings. With them you can fan away the dust," the foul beast said. "I will give you my tin plates. With it you can make it through the storm," the tin man said. The girl wore the foul beast's wings and the tin man's plates and flew past the desert and the storm. She found the caster, only to discover an incoherent madman. The girl cried in sadness, but her friends were there with her and started to talk to her. "Thank you, I flew across an insurmountable desert," the wings said. "Thank you, I felt the warmth of a body once again," the tin plate said. "This has been such a wonderful journey," they said together. "In that case, my dream has come true," the girl hugged her friends. "With you here by my side, I now have a new home." With the dream of her friends, the girl set out on a journey again.
This time she had not set out to find a legendary caster. She had an all-new goal. She would walk far, far away to where no one had ever gone before. Dorothy, did you like the story Mommy told you?
She hesitated for a while, but it also seemed like the blink of an eye. She saw green trees and red roses, a bright and beautiful day, as well as a quiet, endless night. She saw a rainbow that stretched across the sky and reflected the smiles of the spectators' faces. They walked close together, discussing food, weather, and the good harvest. They saw her too and waved at her. "Hello, Dorothy. This is a nice place, isn't it, Dorothy? There's an endless supply of clean water and food here, and all the wild beasts have gone away. It's so great to relax here. All the data from those experiments are driving me crazy though. I'm always afraid that the director might show up out of nowhere. We shouldn't stay here too long though. A storm might be coming. Don't worry, we know how to deal with those. Otherwise, why would we even have come here? What is there to worry about then? That we can't be on our own. That we can't be on our way tomorrow, of course. And we don't know whether we'll find another place like this again. It doesn't matter if we run away. Tomorrow is still coming. If all I do is hide here, when will I become the greatest scientist there ever was? And that's why we'll be on our way as soon as it's light out. Strange. What a long night this is. It's moving more intensely. It's like it's putting up a fight.
Perhaps that's because Dorothy is putting up a fight.
Do you believe her? This was Miss Dorothy's experiment. Would she really willingly abandon a dream she's chased for years?
What Dorothy seeks isn't success. If she can really hear the voices of her loved ones, she will make the choice that's most beneficial to them. I wonder what she sees in this very moment. Lacking sufficient reliable data, I was able to feel them, but I did not receive a transmitter injection. One hypothesis is that the device number 9's sensitivity to signals has allowed me to receive fragments of some of the messages. But those fragments contain certain specific words. They were emotions. Language is a set of rules for command input and output. It cannot describe every tiny brainwave fluctuation in detail. If I must make a conjecture, I postulate that Director Franks is dreaming. She's dreaming? Whose dream? Is it Dorothy's own dream or a collective dream of all the pioneers connected to the hub? I do not know. Just like when I was dreaming, I could not ascertain whose dream it was. Joyce, your manner of speech. Olivia, I don't know what's going on. Is your device being jammed again? I don't know either. Olivia, I feel both sad and happy. Are we all walking a path to an unknown destination and a starting point we can no longer see? I think so, especially for researchers like us. There is one thing I've wanted to tell you for a long time. Device number 9 may have given me a lot of pain, and my journey may come to an end at any moment, but it is thanks to your companionship. I've never once felt alone or lost hope.
Mary, I'm gonna ask, am I gonna die here?
if you're free enough to think about that, why don't you try to work a little harder? We don't have too many bolts left, do we? Before these well-armored fellas shackle up my neck, while I can still breathe and think freely, I got something to say. Then say it. Look at how hard you're panting. Careful not to bite your tongue when you talk. I love it when you say things like that. Ever since I became their boss, they take every word I say as pure gold. It's exhausting. Mary, I ought to be satisfied enough that I get to die next to you. This isn't how you saw yourself biting it, huh? I used to think that it'd be great if I got to go out on a soft bed with my wife and kids holding my hand, and a bunch of letters from the people I'd helped sitting there on my nightstand. Right, a window. The room's gotta have a window. I wanna see the sunlight one last time. When I think that, whether there's a room or a bed, it feels like it's not so important whether I have a wife or kids anymore. Looks like I stopped caring about dying somewhere along the way. A long time ago. Mommy, isn't a long journey hard? Why didn't anybody choose to stay somewhere safe? Dorothy, everyone is hanging on because they want to see with their own eyes what the path far ahead holds. Will I go on the journey with you one day? Dorothy, you will make your own journey. Mommy, why are you crying? Is it because you don't want me to leave? I don't have to go to summer camp if you don't want me to go. No, Dorothy, your future doesn't belong to me. Dorothy, one day, Mommy will stand here and send you off on your journey. Dorothy, the sights you will see in the future will be like nothing I've ever seen. Dorothy, why are you crying? Don't you like this place? The child stands on her tiptoes and reaches her hand out to try and wipe the tears of Dorothy's face. Dorothy lifts her hand as well. And just as she's about to take the girl's hand, she puts her hand down. No, my dear friend. This is the land of dreams that I've been searching for all my life. How I hope I can find peace and happiness for all of you. But your futures don't belong to me. I shouldn't trap you here. And I shouldn't trap myself here. I will send you off on your journeys. The sights you will see in the future will be like nothing I've ever seen. Dr. Silence, am I seeing things? Are all the silver liquids retreating? The laboratory? Why is it suddenly turning around and heading toward the labs? If it keeps going, it'll reach. Right, that's its target. The place it was born. With a loud bang, the remaining half of the building suddenly crumbles. Unlike its previous growth stage, it does not patiently wait to dissolve the crumbled building's structure. It simply retrieves all the energy and, without hesitation, it tears its own heart. The large geometric construct rapidly crumbles away. The dust scatters in all directions, and a stream of silver liquid slowly flows on the ground. The sky too has returned to its original color. No. Impossible. The data. Show me the data. The test subject disconnected from the hub, and its structure completely collapsed. The hub is destroyed? Mary?
I'm not dreaming, am I? That monster is actually gone. We're saved. We're saved. Mary, did you see that?
Don't let your guard down. We still have the bad guys from Rhine Lab to deal with. Wait, are the Rhine Labbers retreating? Hold on, who's that? And are they wearing... Director Franks destroyed her own creation. She did it.
You believed in her the whole time, didn't you?
Gray, she said, you have the same kind of courage as the pioneers. But I couldn't tell her in time that she was just as brave. So brave that she was willing to wake up from the dream she weaved of her own love. Dorothy, how do you feel? Does it hurt anywhere? I can't say I feel very good, but I feel relaxed. So, did you find your answer? Answer? No, what I found was a new journey. And it belongs only to them. I have another path to walk. How does it feel to have your dreams crushed?
Only Dorothy knows the exact location of the hub. Could it really be that Dorothy destroyed the system she created herself? Can she control this creation?
You can't imagine that, can you? That's because you've never considered the possibility that Dorothy would inject herself too. That she would plug herself into that thing.
It's not like you saw her do it.
I didn't, but I know her. Her heart lies with the pioneers. For them, she would do whatever it takes so many times as it took, without hesitation. And she'd choose to stop when and if it became necessary.
I have to find her. Her research is more impressive than I imagined. Our experiment is not over yet. What's going on? Where are the defense personnel? Director Clooney, the observation station surrounded. On whose authority? No, it doesn't matter who they are. How did they find out about the site?
My arts, finally, it's enough to for those control panels you use to disrupt communications. It did take me some time, so I've got to thank you for teaching me patience.
You did it right in front of me.
If you would just pay more attention to what's going on around you and listen more carefully when you talk, you could have figured me out.
They're here, Director Clooney. Rhine Lab Energy Section Director Ferdinand Clooney. We have proof beyond a reasonable doubt that you have violated clinical laboratory regulations and have been conducting illegal experiments at this site. Surrender immediately and order your subordinates to drop their weapons. This is all just a misunderstanding. Please, let me make a call. Not exactly in accordance with procedure, but knock yourself out. The number's not in service. Who do you work for? I need to talk to the colonel. Look, I know a lot of colonels who run a lot of regiments. You want to be a little more specific? Well, there are countless weapons pointed at him. No name is frozen on the tip of his tongue. The name is frozen on the tip of his tongue. Suddenly, Ferdinand is relieved that he did not reveal the name to the crowd. Pick up your comm.
It's me.
I get it now, Kirsten. You won. Congratulations.
This was never about winning or losing, Ferdinand. Your bet almost destroyed Rhine Lab.
Rhine. I told you I would build the most fantastic laboratory in all of Terra here, and I did it. I will ensure that the Rhine name lives on gloriously in the epoch to come. And what about you? Do you really care about Rhine, Kirsten? You don't. You only want to burn all of our efforts as fuel for yourself. It's for Rhine's sake that you must be stopped.
Rhine Lab doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to anyone. Ferdinand Clooney, you're too easily distracted. Rhine doesn't need an academic like you.
You came here just to fire me, Control.
I'm reminding you to make the smart choice.
You mean accept your proposal to hire a top lawyer and use your relationship with the government to have me locked away in the state prison for 2 centuries? How smart that would be.
Ferdinand! He killed himself? The floor structure here broken through.
I think he might have escaped, ma'am. It's a pain in the neck to catch these smartasses who make preparations in advance, but not like we had much of a choice. After him, he won't get far without help.
It all turned out just as you wanted, Saria. The situation has changed, thanks to the message you and Rhode Island brought here. Ferdinand failed, and you saved Rhine Lab once again. I should go. Saria, I don't remember everything that happened all those years ago. I noticed that you've tweaked your arts casting methods. The reconstruction effect your calcification has on matter particles is more complicated and intricate now. You abandoned the formula that the two of us developed together in the early days. Defense techniques have been cracked. Defense techniques that have been cracked have no value. And I was the only one ever to crack calcification. Yes. Goodbye, Kirsten.
He hated these preparations. After all, only losers who have to resort to backup plans. Ferdinand's laboratory has never needed so many plans. After all, he has always had a masterful control of the tides. Many say that he is a capable businessman, but they don't understand. He simply stays on the right path and marches on endlessly. As long as you walk faster than anyone, money and attention will come pouring in. And with these resources, he can walk faster and farther. But today he has no choice but to walk this dark, narrow path, an escape route that he never seriously considered he would have to take. There is someone waiting for him at the end of this path. Why would anyone be waiting for him? His co-workers, his family, Elena, none of them know about this plan. Aside from him, there should be no one who knows this place.
You're here at last, Ferdinand. I've been waiting entire minutes.
Oh heck. I never expected the last person to help me would be a mercenary.
Oh?
You aren't here to help me. Then why not pull the trigger already?
Relax, Ferdinand. I'm not here to kill you either.
I'm not sure I believe that. The Colonel, the army wants me silenced, I'm sure of it. And Kirsten wants me locked up. I'd turn crazy like Logan Williams if I ended up in prison. Either that or I would have to roll over and rot away as a corpse. Mad scientists are hardly a strange sight here in Colombia, but it's not like the military or the government could shoulder the infamy that comes with sacrificing civilians in evil experiments. I have no idea how Kirsten caught wind of what's going on in the site so easily, or how she managed to convince the bureaucrats in the government in such a short amount of time.
Oh?
It's you. You are no normal mercenary. You are a spy. Did the government send you? Who do you work for?
Shh. Let's not waste our breath on all that. In Colombia, men like you can't hide anything, not even escape routes that look so discreet on the surface.
He watches as the woman in front of him walks closer. A chill runs down his spine. Not even the conversation he had with Kirsten a few minutes ago made him despair. Yet right now, with the Liberi reaching her hand out toward him, an extreme pain rushes up from his stomach and claws at his throat. He almost vomits on the spot.
Look how messy your hair is, Ferdinand. It would ruin your image if you went out like this. Right, you might want to know that I've already torn your gateway car to pieces. But you just made a very smart choice. You could have dragged Kirsten and Rhine Lab down with you, but you didn't. You do actually care as much about Rhine Lab as you said. You made sure that there is still hope for everyone in the future, even if that future doesn't necessarily include you. So... right, I'll say it how you like to say it. I forgive you. Walk forward about another 10 yards. There is a suit of power armor in the firefighting cabinet. The newest kind. You can wear it. You can control it remotely. You can even ignore it. It's your call. Even though you can never come back to Tree Mounts, and it'd be your best interest to stay away from other nomadic cities, there are still vaster lands waiting for you. Now hop to it. Pioneer.
Alright, and let's end today's narration with stage DV-ST-2, titled Embark. The backpack has been prepared. The wind has blown away the dark clouds. The unknown awaits ahead.
Dorothy, are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Slow down, you almost knocked me over. It's all my fault. If I'd found out what Ferdinand's been up to sooner, if I'd figured out a way to tell everyone sooner, if I'd talked to you a little more, if... Sheesh, look at you. You came all the way here from observation in a hurry. There's dirt on your face. It might have gotten on my face when I was beating up Ferdinand. I already forgot what I grabbed to beat him with. My hand was shaking really bad. Were you taking it out on him? No, that didn't feel good at all. Dorothy, I'm disappointed and I'm angry, but after the dust settled, and after seeing those soldiers run after him, I also started to feel really bad. Because of everything Ferdinand did? No, because of what he could have done. I still remember everything he taught me, and I still believe that when he told me about his grand ideas, there wasn't an inkling of deception behind the light in his eyes. And there was a time when I wanted his recognition more than anything. That's gotta be really silly, right? Saying stuff like that. Not even a little, Elena. Sometimes it's harder to accept than to deny. You won't have to be anyone's assistant ever again. He won't cast his shadow on you again, but the flames he lit still burn in your eyes. His end is your start point, and there is no doubt you will walk much farther than he ever did. Dorothy, why do you sound like you're saying goodbye? What do you mean I won't be an assistant anymore? I know you plugged yourself into the hub, but that doesn't mean there's something wrong with your body, right? Calm down. I'm fine. If you don't believe me, ask our good doctor. I make no guarantees. Olivia, are you finished checking all the pioneers? There's still one more to go. The transmitter is still flowing through you. You are showing no physical abnormalities at the moment, but no one can tell how things might develop in the future. You don't need to worry about me, my dear doctor. These substances flowing inside me pose no greater threat than the crystals on your bodies and the brewing storm up ahead. But those little things won't stop us, will they?
Certainly not. The out-of-control construct caused significant destruction to the base. There is hardly any rubble in front of them, only a clean floor of silvery white. Before long, even that will be cleaned up. But there will always be traces left here. Suddenly, the silver river in front of begins to move again.
The reflection of the rain clouds, huh? Acknowledged. The government has taken over all administration of the site, and per our agreement, Rhode Island needs to destroy all the information we've collected. But this isn't the end. I just got a new lead about Ferdinand's backer. I'm on my way to meet with the informant now. Doctor?
Zarya stops in her tracks and looks up. There are rain clouds slowly drifting their way into the city. At the test site some 60 miles away, somebody else is thinking the exact same thing. Silence in Zarya at the same time. It's about to rain in Tree Mounts. That's pretty much a wrap. Thanks for helping us clean up, Gray. I'm glad I could help, Mr. Sani. And there's not actually much to clean up. We did good. Looks just like how things were when we got here. Hey, do me a favor and pass on our apology and some thanks to your co-workers. It's just like you said, you Rhode Islanders pulled us up out of our funk. No, Mr. Sani, it was you and the rest of the pioneers who saved yourselves. Did you forget? If you hadn't made your voice heard and wouldn't have had the chance to take your... We wouldn't have had the chance to take your hand. I'm blessed to have a friend like you. My little engineer buddy, I'll never forget what you told me, not to mention everything that happened here at the site. And Mary.
It's my job to make sure all of you get away from the site.
What I was gonna say is, you still got a chance to arrest me.
This whole mess is an experiment gone wrong. Thanks to the work of a lone actor. That's the word from on high anyway. And since those Rhine researchers don't want to press charges, your little kidnapping isn't in the records.
No, I'm not talking about the last couple days. I'm talking about 4 years ago. Do you know why I signed up for the experiment that night? Every pioneer has a reason to want to go back to the city, and my reason is I have to go back to someone I hurt bad, someone who used to be my dearest friend. I owe her an apology, and I deserve to be judged. I've been on the run for 4 years. At first I thought the waste swallowed my dreams and changed me into a different man. But that's not what happened. On that night 4 years ago, I killed the Sonny Romano who believed in justice and equality. I did it with my own 2 hands.
If you do get arrested, there's only 2 possible punishments waiting for you. 1, you'll get thrown in prison and then the infected quarantine zone once you've done your time. And the other, you'll be a pioneer and the nomadic cities will be close to you forever.
I know.
But you're already a pioneer.
So that means you...
Let's stop it with all this talk about whether I forgive you or not. Your old body is here to send you on your way. Shouldn't you hurry up and do something more meaningful?
A long overdue warm hug. A true reunion. and also a formal farewell after years apart.
Have you figured out where to go next?
It's some guy who's got a bunch of letters for a name. Starts with a D. He sent us all a kind of weird email the other day, and there was an invitation to work with him attached. So, I want to stop here just for a moment, because I was like, that is interesting. Who do I know that begins with the letter D and was already introduced as just Mr. D? Well, Dijkstra. So yeah, Dijkstra got in contact with Sonny here and sent him and the other pioneers an email to come and work with him and the people he's potentially with right now. So obviously I don't want neither to spoil myself completely anything. Obviously I don't know who is listening to this and how far they are in in the main story so far. All I'm gonna say here is that Dijkstra is someone who appears technically I think only in 2 places so far, for the most part. One is a old side story. The other one is the main story itself at a certain point. And that is about as much as I'm gonna say. And the other thing I can only say is that Dijkstra is a hacker and has connections to Closure and the musician DDD. That is pretty much all you're gonna get. The rest about Dijkstra's involvement and what happens in the main story and that side story he's in, I leave to you to discover. So also in the comment section, please, if you're gonna say anything about Dijkstra at any point, don't spoil the main story. You never know who is reading and listening, obviously. But anyway, continuing. I still have no idea how he got to the contact information for the Pioneer team. He doesn't seem like he's from a recruiting agency.
You should be more careful the next time you pick up work. Try not to break the law again either. Otherwise it doesn't matter where you run. I'll drag you back here. I promise.
You got it, officer. Not far away, his brothers and sisters on the Pioneer team call out to him. Sonny knows that this time, he's truly prepared to go on his journey.
They started cleaning up the mess at the test site.
Rhine Lab still is in charge of cleanup.
Yeah, I guess this is a kind of corporate social responsibility for us, huh?
I'm more willing to believe this is a deal.
Alright, not like there's anyone who believes that explanation here. Those pioneers...
You've been watching them for a while.
They're starting a new journey. I wonder what they'll find next time. Again and again in a never-ending cycle. They can never go back home, and they might never again have a place they can even call home.
Doctor, I found that the Rhine personnel are digging away in the rubble of the labs. Director Mulesies, you're here too. Mulesies, have you figured out when you'll answer my question yet?
Question? What is it that's bothering me? When I'm prepared to talk, you'll be the first to know, Doctor. Relax, it's all been taken care of. No civilians will ever find out what happened at Site 359, and there is no chance of anyone using this against you in your upcoming election. Yes, I'm well out of 3 mounts already, on my way to Max DC now. Ferdinand? He is no threat anymore. You can be sure of that.
Ma'am, you're standing right outside Rhine Lab. Why did you lie to the Vice President?
Because I still remember my original goal.
doesn't know how far he's walked. His aching, hoarse throat reminds him that his body cannot bear such exhaustion. However, it feels as though Tremount is right behind him. It could be right in front of him too. The shadow of a nomadic city is enormous, and it grows endlessly with the passage of time. He must hurry. Hurry. Where is he going in such a hurry? Will someone betray him at the next waypoint, just as Elena and Whole Hayek did? Hold it there. We know who you are. Ferdinand, you think you can get to just walk away scot-free after everything you've done? Don't think that gear you're in is going to scare us. You talk big, but you can't actually control it. Even if you open fire and kill us all here, you'll run into the next team of pioneers. Look out into the wastes. No friends here. Your enemies go on forever. It doesn't matter. The transmitter he developed himself is right at his fingertips. All he has to do is inject it into himself, and he will immediately be able to wield this power armor with ease, and all these so-called enemies will be powerless against him. But why doesn't he do it? Is it because he doesn't have the courage that Dorothy does? Or is it because... Ferdinand, you are the one who's being left behind by the times, the grand ideals in your eyes. Because you never believed that you belong to this epoch. You always talk about how you're in control of it. You're always thinking, controlling, but you never feel. Whose voice is this? Is it Elena's? Right, if you don't want to be left behind, you must become part of it. The power armor remains silent. It proceeds no further, and it does not put up a struggle. It simply raises its arms. Just like it is embracing the winds, the sunlight, and the lands before it. An onslaught of angry pioneers rushes toward it, and just as the silver monster that once hovered mid-air above the test site swallows the iron-forged body whole.
Does the Mainlander Foundation still have doubts about this? No, Control. I'm not representing Mainlander this time. I'm a businesswoman, you know. Right. It so happens I prefer to skip the pleasantries. You retrieved the most crucial part of the experiment at Site 359. The hub was destroyed in its entirety by Dorothy. That's what it says in the report submitted to the government. But it so happens that I saw a team in some pretty low-key outfits driving a discreet, completely curtained-off transport into your personal laboratory. Saria said you turned a blind eye to what Ferdinand was doing. Perhaps it would be more accurate to say you used him. The thing that you wanted most is not sitting right on your desk. The cleanup work at Site 359 is a project that Rhine Lab had to take. And every day, countless failed experiment byproducts are destroyed. No matter what it is you think you saw, it's not worthy of outside attention. Destroyed? Well, of course. I'm sure that scrap heap is gone from your desk. Evidence can be destroyed, and memories can be modified, but whenever something happens, it tends to have a lasting effect on the things that come after. Loken, Parvis, Ferdinand. Maybe at some point in the future their names will be completely absent from the history books. But there is no doubt they changed the course of history. Arts unit implants, technologies imbued with revived ancient Sarkis powers, power armor controllable over a long distance, and mental manifestation networks over even broader areas. What will be the next experiment that alters the very epoch we live in? A researcher is here to explore all the possibilities out there. I don't make predictions. Suppose that memories can leap past the limitations of time. Predictions are nothing more than rediscovering history that's been buried. Why don't we reacquaint ourselves? Kirsten, right? I'm Hall Hayek, historian and honorary president of the Colombian Astrological Research Association. And forgive me for making a prediction right here and now. Perhaps I will be the partner you will most need, and very soon. Miss Asticia, researcher Elena isn't back yet. I know. She told me already. I just want to stay here a little while, so I can see her when she comes back. Sometimes I'm jealous of Elena, having a sister that cares so much about her. Who was that? Wait. The astrolabe lit up?
The sky after rain is always exceptionally clear. This is one of the rare reasons that Kirsten never steps out of her laboratory. It isn't that she particularly likes the twinkling lights. If conjectures cannot be proven, then they are only self-deceiving lies. Yet lies aren't completely meaningless. Even if a shadow has been twisted thousands of times, it is still cast by something that is real and truthful. Lies exist only to demonstrate one thing, that the truth also exists. It is hidden among these radiant twinkling stars, and the sky also isn't as far as it seems. When she reaches her hand out, she will surely be able to touch it. The only truth that has been suffocating the people from up above for thousands of years. And that is where our story ends. You could say quite the cliffhanger right there, but yeah. But let's go over some things, shall we? But first, before we do so, once again, like I said at the beginning, thank you very much for anybody who is watching and listening to these videos, and also leaving comments and the likes, and potentially if you're new, subscribing maybe. Thank you very much. It means definitely a lot to me. So, anyway. Right, my thoughts about this story in general. Like, plotline wise, after a couple of things get mentioned at the beginning, pretty easily. I mean, when the little machines appear, pretty easy to see, at least for me. Pretty easy to see where the plot is gonna be heading towards the end. But still, good stuff. A lot was happening. Characters split up about anywhere and everywhere. Interacting, not interacting, doing their own stuff, cooperating, not cooperating, and that was a lot. This story was way beefier than I was expecting at the beginning, but like I said before, I was looking forward to this Rhine Lab story, and it definitely did not disappoint. It was wacky science, and I loved every single bit of it. But yeah, about the characters. So, how to put this? Elena, yeah, let's go with Elena first. So, Elena at the beginning, like, I don't know what to really expect of her, because she definitely felt like she was just way too trustworthy of Ferdinand. But she definitely makes a 180 very quick, proving that she's definitely not that wide-eyed fawn that is just following her mentor and whatever the hell. And upon realizing that he's the actual bad guy behind the stuff that is happening. Pretty much smacks the shit out of him. Goes literally up to his face and smacks the shit out of him. Plus smacking Sonny as well around. And by the way, I do love that moment where she, like I exclaimed in the previous part, where she smacks those words into Sonny's face. And they carry double weight because those same words she was pretty much smacking into her own face at the same time, if you think about it. So, good shit. She definitely, while at the beginning looked very, very sus, she definitely quickly redeems herself as a character. So, good stuff there. Furthermore, I was not expecting here at the end of the story to have a single moment where, and by the way, you might have noticed that I went for Telopsis's narration there, or rather voicing there, from a robotic sounding Telopsis to more of a normal sounding Telopsis, because the way that they were projecting it there was, for a moment the chip is disabled and she's able to talk normally, and it shows because she called Silence Olivia for once. And I love how, and I didn't plan for this obviously, but I love how in the previous part I ended with the operator record for Telopsis, which pretty much just shows how much she is bound to just properly address everybody outside of one person, being Della Reed, the doctor who she was good friends with and who implanted the chip in her head. And that being literally the only person she addressed with a nickname, essentially, or a short version of their name, being Della, which is fascinating. But here, finally, in this one little moment where she is like herself again, she had enough time to just talk with Silence, and oh, that was such a nice little moment. Such a nice little moment where she finally had an opportunity to thank Silence that she is always with her and watching over her. So, oh, that tugged on heartstrings very, very much so. Outside of that, Dorothy as well. At the beginning, like, you would think she is definitely like a mad scientist behind it, but technically speaking, while what she is doing, yes, was very, very wrong, but at the same time, you also see that the pioneers were not in danger, that her intentions weren't bad. It's just the methods she's going through are like, you know, I don't know if I should. Which way? What do I do now? Like left, right. But yeah, she as well, definitely that finale there afforded a lot of courage from her and a lot of determination to set her dream free, essentially, and her family free. Oof. That was definitely a heart-tugging moment. Also, I want to say that I find it funny that yet another piece of media got pretty much put into Arknights quite sneakingly. That Wizard of Oz reference there is great. It's obviously not a one-to-one, but it definitely is based on it, and I reading through it the first time when it clicked in my head what I'm reading had me chuckle a bit, but the scene is very heavy after that, so that chuckle went away very quick. Like zoop. But anyway, but yeah, Dorothy pretty much definitely redeems herself very quickly out of all of that. Outside of that, what else to say? There we have Saria, who is just Saria. She's just being a badass, like always, and every single time they keep talking about her calcification, about how powerful she is, how she can just punch a goddamn hole through a mech. I think everybody, and it's not just me, can just at that moment think, when are we getting Saria Alter? I swear. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna call it right here and now. If this story continues like in a year from now, or in 6 months from now, considering it's obviously gonna be sooner on the Chinese client, I'm just gonna call it that if this gets a part 2, we're gonna get a Saria Alter. I'm just gonna call it right here. What is she gonna be? I mean, if she's punching holes through stuff, she can only be one of two things. She can either be a guard, or she can be a specialist. Pick your choice. Then we have Mulesies. Mulesies, I have a feeling as well, could become at one point an operator for Rhode Island, especially the way this was written here, and the way she was interacting with the doctor. Also the fact that we finally, like I said in part 1, finally know what race she is, and that being an elf. And judging by what Holheak was saying there at the end, this might be one of the old races that was maybe like a dominant race of the world before whatever happened. Before either Originium just spread across the world suddenly, if it was a creation of mankind of the past, or if, I don't know, honestly don't know, or if it came from somewhere else. But yeah, interesting way, at least I'm interpreting what Holheak is saying, that the elves were like a dominant race at some point in the past, but now they are like rare, essentially. But just like elves, from what is said, they can live for quite a few centuries, so I know they're never gonna tell us unless some other almost immortal bad guy says some kind of random number towards Mulesies in a random scene in the future. We'll never probably know how old she technically actually is, but we can definitely tell from what was in this story that she is definitely a couple of centuries on her back, behind her, whatever. But yeah, Mulesies is just Mulesies. I have literally nothing to add to her. She's quirky. She's that quirky old character that doesn't look old, behaves like some kind of almost teen to some extent. She's that anime character. But she's interesting. She's definitely interesting, and again, judging by this story as well, could be, if and when this story surrounding Rhine Lab and stuff, if it continues in the future, could become an operator as well. Now, if I could drop my 2 cents of what she could be, from the little bits and pieces that was described and the control of water molecules, I don't technically know what she could be outside of maybe a specialist or support. I think, yeah, maybe support would make sense, because I don't think she's like the fighter type. She's like the deception type. So, you know what? I'll call it. If she becomes a unit, she's gonna be a support that has like that diamond-shaped field around her, and her abilities are essentially gonna be to give units around her like a dodge chance for different types of damage. Like each of her skills is gonna be a either physical dodge or a arts dodge for units. I'll just call it here. Why not? It might happen, it might not happen. Whatever. Would be interesting. Outside of that, who else did we have? Well, we saw Kirsten right at the end. Don't really have much to say about her outside of that she definitely has ambitions, which I'm gonna go over in a moment. But first, oh my god, Gray was the biggest badass of this story. Sorry. Next to Saria, I think Gray... I mean, Dorothy obviously as well had her amazing moment towards the end. That afforded a lot of guts. But yeah, the top 3 characters for this story are definitely Dorothy, Gray, Saria, when it comes to who is more gutsy and diesel. But yeah, holy hell, Gray grew up into such a man. And I love it that out of everybody in the story who meets Gray and calls him a boy, Dorothy is the first one who literally is outside of the circle and says just, he is a man. So like I said, she gets all the brownie points for just that sentence. And not just because her first audio sentence in her files is literally offering me coffee. That she gets extra brownie points for. Pardon. But yeah, Gray really grew up as a character. Holy hell, he grew up as a character. Like, damn. And yeah, finally we have Parvis, who we see kinda a couple of times here and there. He's doing his sneaky stuff. But not gonna talk much more about him, cause here on the channel we're gonna see a bit more about Parvis in the mangas. He's gonna be a figure, obviously, during that story, so I'm not gonna talk much about him. But there's things about Parvis to talk about, but we'll do that in the mangas when we go over them. Outside of that, we also have, obviously, we have Mr. Not George Clooney. Definitely an interesting bad guy. Like, he's a bad guy without being a bad guy. He's basically just chasing his ambition and trying to also, in a sense, do the right thing, but for all the wrong reasons, and potentially wrongly pulled ambitions. How to put that, essentially, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't dislike or like him as a bad guy. He was definitely charismatic, I would say, and pretty much driven by his idea and ambition to what to achieve. So definitely not a bad guy, when you ask me, at least. And yeah, finally we have one of our Rhode Island elite members, Mechanist. Well, to be fair, until the beginning of this story, considering, like I said back then, he appears like he gets mentioned like once, maybe twice during the entire. Well, he gets mentioned once in the main story, and I think outside of that, maybe gets mentioned once somewhere else. So I honestly completely forgot about his existence because of that. But definitely an interesting character. Would love to see more of him. Considering that we do get to play around with some of the other elite operators that we cannot summon in integrated strategies, I would love it if they actually add him as well into there, because that would also mean that we would get voice lines for him. And we would actually see how his kit works in action. That would be quite interesting. So here is fingers crossed that he gets eventually at some point added into one of the future integrated strategies. Why not? Would love to see more about the guy. He is responsible for the construction of a lot of tech when it comes to that. Even Gray's new equipment, as stated in the story, has been pretty much made by this bad boy. But yeah, and finally, like I said earlier, Kirsten's ambition. So she there at the end looking at the sky is pretty much the big signal of what her ambition, and from what is written there, what she wants to accomplish one day. So for anybody new to the story and world of Arknights who is still listening to this, there is one big barrier that the world has that is visible to everybody pretty much across all of Terra and the lands beyond, and that is the sky. Now, again, for anybody who is new to the story and world of Arknights, you might have at some point asked yourself, well, why is the world so advanced but there is no communication between the cities? Well, the main story does, if I remember right, does give us a bit of an idea about that, and it's pretty much down to the fact of, I mean, you could build communication towers between cities and just plaster them all over the place, but the big problem with that is first off, to fund that endeavor. Second off, the towers could also be, if not protected properly, be destroyed by just the wildlife, and there is pretty dangerous wildlife out there, especially the ones that are mutated by Originium. And then finally we have catastrophes, the big thing that prevents any kind of investment into that field, because you just can't. If a catastrophe happens, it's just gonna wipe out all the communication things, and where a catastrophe plows through, it's not really safe to build the towers again in the same place again, so yeah, that's a problem. And considering the catastrophes are varied from just storms to chasms literally opening up, you can't really guarantee to build like a tower that goes underground to protect itself. It could just literally fall into the ground. So that is out of the picture. So why not, in that case, use the sky, for example? Why not just shoot a bunch of satellites into orbit and have a communication network across the planet? Well, that's the other problem. Something is preventing passage into space. Now, I don't remember how directly it's preventing, if it's just like you shoot a rocket up, it just falls down, like it just shuts off and just falls down, or if there's an actual physical barrier. I don't think there was mentioned that there's a physical barrier, but there is definitely a distortion happening. In Stultifera Navis, for example, not spoiling the story, just a sentence that was mentioned about the sky. In that story, one character talks to the other and tells them about the fact that once you are on the open seas, you cannot use anything besides the technology you have to navigate the seas, to know which direction you're going. And that is a problem, obviously. That's kind of preventing exploration. And why can you not just, like our explorers in our past, use the stars to navigate? Well, something is preventing proper navigation with using the stars. Something is distorting the sky, and you cannot navigate something if it keeps changing or disappearing or whatever the hell is happening. So navigation by stars is technically impossible. You can observe the stars, but if they keep changing from time to time, how can you navigate with them? So Kirsten's ambition to go to that final place that is unreachable for anybody on the world is kind of huge. And I wonder if they actually write a second story for this. It's gonna take some time after, where we see that actually happen. But who knows? The big reveal about the sky could also happen in the main story. Who the hell knows? Or it could happen... Nah, probably not in that story, but I would still love to see the continuation of the Aegirian, Iberian storylines. A part 3 would be nice. And somehow I have this dumb feeling it's gonna be the Chinese next... What's gonna be the next one? The 4th year? Yeah, the 4th year anniversary story. Considering that last year's anniversary story was the Stultifera one. So, if that happens, called it. But yeah, she definitely has a grand ambition, and I wonder how that will turn out. Would love to see and finally learn what is wrong with the sky and what is preventing it. If it's just maybe the presence of Originium on the planet causing the distortion above the planet. Like if it's... That would be an idea. Why not have this mass of these dark obsidian crystals who are so full of energy that they're exuding a magnetic field across the planet that is just working as a barrier. It could be, but who knows? But yeah, anyway, I think that's enough talk about the story. TLDR, I really loved it. I would love to see this one continued specifically and see more about Rhine Lab, their bullshittery behind the scenes, and what else they have hidden in the basement. Because nothing that they have hidden in the basement is gonna be good. But it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, who knows. One final thing, considering that on the 21st, so like what, 2-3 days from now, from when I'm recording this, we will get the EX stages. If there is any kind of extra scenes that are on the EX stages once those open, I will obviously, like always, record those in a separate video and upload them on the channel into the same playlist as a bonus episode. But yeah, that will be that. For the rest of the for the week after this goes up, we still have 3 operator records to post on the channel, which I was avoiding like a plague because I was not sure if there are gonna be any kind of spoilers in them for this story. And that are Grey Altars operator record, Silence's operator record, and Ifrit got one. Ifrit, I don't know what hers is gonna be about. I haven't even looked at the title of that one, but expect those 3 to pop up on the channel. Outside of that, once those 3 are up, the next thing after that will be the next part of the main story, and after that we will have the next part. If nothing goes wrong with that one, we will have the next part of the manga narration. And after that, we'll see. We'll see what comes after this. And one final thing I want to ask one more time: if and when Integrated Strategies 3, aka Cerulean Harbor, drops, if you guys are interested in live streams, be it here on YouTube or on Twitch, please leave me a comment in the comment section of this video, and further videos that are coming on the channel, doesn't matter, I'm gonna be asking this here and there, because I'm just gauging interest if anybody is interested to see live streams where we pretty much go live and react live over the stories that are gonna be within that thing. Because oh boy, did I hear that those are depressing as shit, and I am the type that will definitely get emotional over some stuff, so might make for some interesting reactions. But enough about that. That will be for when that actually happens, and if you guys are actually interested in that. But in the meantime, who the hell knows what comes after this? The global schedule is now so out of whack. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see when it happens. But anyway, that is enough rambling. All I can say one more time is thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the nice comments on the previous episodes. Please leave a like if you liked this this episode as well, and a comment maybe, potentially. And if you're new to the channel, consider maybe subscribing. There is a lot of stories that we are going over here, and there is a lot more coming. And there's still a lot more in the game. But outside of that, if you're still pulling for Dorothy or planning to pull, good luck. She's definitely an interesting fun unit to use. And I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.